well, we're not just going to make a Mortal Kombat movie. We got to make a Mortal Kombat extended cinematic universe.
What's up, YouTube? Drive-By Movies here. You're watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name is Blaise.
And today we are checking out the new Mortal Kombat remake.
Your favorite 90s video game turned into a 2020s movie. Anyways, the story of this movie follows Cole Young, an MMA fighter who seeks out Earth's greatest champions in order to stand against the enemies of Outworld in a high-stakes battle for the universe. This movie is, like I said, a reboot of the older film. I think it's like a 90s film, but also it is kind of that bringing that video game to life. The video game has been going on for however many years since its inception. Most recently, the past year, they came out with Mortal Kombat 11. So this is, that kind of game or that movie that really is kind of tying in the game, but also getting new fans and kind of pleasing the old fans. Anyways, I'm not the biggest Mortal Kombat fan. I do enjoy it from time to time, just picking like a pick up and play game with friends or whatever, but I never really played the story mode. I watched friends play it, but I've never really invested my time into the story mode and stuff like that. But I have enjoyed my fair share of Mortal Kombat. How about yourself, James? What's your history on Mortal Kombat?
I always liked it, but I was never good at Mortal Kombat, honestly. My biggest thing that I can remember with Mortal Kombat was my cousins were super into it. I'd watch them play it. And also growing up, we didn't have laundry at my house that I grew up in as a little kid. So we would go to a laundromat. And I remember there was a guy who would play Mortal Kombat all the time. And I remember he was super good and would always start from the beginning and make it all the way to the end and stuff. And that's usually like my biggest experience watching and stuff with Mortal Kombat. So I know some stuff about the video games, and the story is like pretty interesting enough to make into a movie. But do we get that in this plot? No. And did I like this movie? No.
What about just that couch watch? You didn't appreciate it for at least being able to. It was the pleasure of being on HBO Max in 2021.
No, I think I got spoiled with we've gotten some decent movies for the most part, but this was just pretty bad, and it wasn't even fun bad. The originals are fun bad. Those are bad, don't hold up. They're at least entertaining to watch, but this was trying to be good. And it's just oh my god, this is bad. They should have went all out with being cheesy and stuff, because for the most part it's kind of done serious. It's all that darker look that a lot of DC movies are going for, Warner Brothers movies, and it's telling a darker story. There are a couple quips here and there, but for the most part though, it's pretty deadpan serious. And then out of nowhere there's just the dorky flawless victory line. I'm oh my god, this is so stupid, and it just didn't work for me. If it worked for fans, I'm excited. This is definitely a movie that's made specifically for the fans. I can't see anyone who just went in casually to really enjoy this movie, and that's mainly what I did. I have some history with Mortal Kombat and stuff, but not enough to really be looking forward to this or be that disappointed. But just overall, I'm a casual watcher, and I did not like it.
Yeah, I would say for me, I didn't hate it by any means. I think there's a lot of elements that it doesn't work well on. There's a lot of cylinders that it doesn't really fire well on. Like you said, if you're just not even just a casual fan, but if you're just somebody who watched this movie, you kind of be left out on all the cheeky hints and nods to the camera and winks at the camera that the film has. Like you said, the little flawless victory or Kano wins or just silly stuff like that was, making fun of the video game. That was the stuff I really enjoyed. I love that kind of B-movie-ness, but I felt like too much of the movie was focusing on this plot that wasn't really Mortal Kombat. For me,
right.
the plot of Mortal Kombat should be the movie was setting up this plot of like, we're gonna get this fight between all the people from Outworld and the people from Earthrealm fighting in Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is essentially the tournament. This movie was based on Bloodsport, a movie that we watched on Never Have I Ever, I think last year, like when we were first starting that show. So, or maybe it was directed up, so I can't remember. But anyways, we watched. We watched Bloodsport on this channel, and that was like a huge thing about Bloodsport was the fact that Mortal Kombat, the game, was heavily inspired by. Even one of the main characters, Johnny Cage, is inspired by Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I like the elements that this film brought to the table, but I really wish that they didn't like kneecap themselves by not essentially having the tournament. Because I even said it when I was watching the movie, I'm like, I really hope this movie doesn't end before it gets to the tournament. Like, I'm looking forward to the tournament. I think that would be a fun homage to the inception of Mortal Kombat, but also the game itself. The game is about the tournament, you know? So, I mean, at least the games that I played, it's about the tournament, especially the first couple games where there's not really much of a story. I know in the later games and the most recent ones, it's very, you know, heavily involved in the story, but I'm sure at some point there's still a tournament. That's kind of what I wanted from the first Mortal Kombat movie. I know that's kind of specific, but I didn't like that it follows a lot of the same tropes that superhero movies do, where like they come up with this crazy plot, but then somehow like it never really gets to that plot. It like oh, that'll be for a movie later down the road. We're gonna just do this little stuff to set up that. Like, as I'm assuming there are sequels that are kind of present for this film, or like ideas, especially the way that this film ends. It kind of makes this little, you know, wink to the camera that there's gonna be a sequel.
Yeah, like I think, yeah, that does nail like what one of my biggest problems was. A lot of TV shows and sitcoms have an A plot and a B plot, and sometimes a C plot, whatever. But for the most part, this movie has that main A plot, which is like setting up the tournament. But the only thing that gets resolved in this is the B plot and the C plot, I'd say, which is really annoying and just like that's not how you make or write a movie and stuff. And there's not really a character I was rooting for. I liked the idea of this new character created just for the movie, Cole Young. I like the idea of like, oh, he's an MMA fighter who like is a descendant of Scorpion and stuff. I thought that was a cool concept, but his power I thought was really dorky. That suit like kind of just like didn't work for me, I thought, and just his storyline is just something we've seen plenty of times before, and it just wasn't believable for me too, though, and stuff like why not just give this story to Johnny Cage for the most part? Because I remember there was a reboot of Mortal Kombat like for Xbox 360, or that was the one that like kind of gave it its big comeback again, where it got like super gory for that game and went back to just like, you know, normal like side-by-side fighting and not like the 360 turning fighting anymore and stuff. So like I remember that had like a fun story mode and stuff. Like, not saying they had to go and like completely like exactly like the game, but just yeah, like not having a fun character to follow like was just awkward and weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
Kano is the character I liked the most, but after a point he got annoying as hell too. Yeah,
definitely. I think most people enjoyed Kano's presence in this movie. I'd say like when he first kind of enters and a lot of the fight scenes, some of the stuff I really enjoyed about this movie, I thought the fight scenes were pretty cool, aside for a lot of like Cole Young's stuff, because I have to agree with you, aesthetically I didn't like his like suit. I thought it reminded me of a superhero. I liked seeing the more gritty characters, like you see Jax, and all the characters that are actually from the game felt super gritty. They fought like you would see them fight in the game. A lot of the action reminded you of playing the game. Is super gory stuff that I felt like we wouldn't see in a movie in 2021, especially a Mortal Kombat movie. So there are a lot of punches that they pulled with this film that I absolutely loved. But when it comes to that kind of storyline being kind of kneecap, where they're not gonna invest in, the thing I really dislike about movies nowadays is they're always thinking so big picture that they forget about the picture that they're making. They're like, okay, so after this movie, we're gonna go to this and we're gonna go to that. And after, first we gotta set up a King Kong movie. So the last one didn't really work out. We can't use Peter Jackson's King Kong. So let's make a random King Kong that makes absolutely no sense, but we gotta make him massive. So that's kind of, I'm using the Monsterverse as an example, because that's a film that they totally made all those movies just to make Kong versus Godzilla. Now we're here. Now where do we go from there? But it's annoying when you can tell that the producers are in their chairs thinking like, all right, well, we're not just gonna make a Mortal Kombat movie. We gotta make a Mortal Kombat extended cinematic universe. We gotta set up the tournament.
This much for the rights, so yeah.
We gotta set up the tournament, but no, we can't get to that in the first movie. And there's a lot of characters that you like, but we can't show them off in the first movie because we gotta have like hints. Like the main character essentially of Mortal Kombat is Johnny Cage, but can't have him in the first one. Which it was fine, it worked for me, but I just dislike that you kind of make something instead of saying, hey, let's make the best Mortal Kombat movie ever. No, let's make the best Mortal Kombat series of films ever. That's kind of the vibe that I get when a producer is really in charge of making a movie.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally get that and stuff. And just like, I don't know why, I get why it's a thing to kind of like try to create that cinematic universe and stuff. You can do that and be successful with creating a first really good movie. I mean, granted, I hate the Marvel movies and we talk crap about them all the time, but like I give credit for Iron Man actually being a pretty fun movie for its time. And then like, it waited till the end credits to set up its future sequels and stuff. Like, yeah, you don't have to set up all throughout the middle of the movie and stuff. And yeah, like really, like you only get one shot to make these kind of movies work. And is this really the best shot you could have made and stuff? Like, because I don't think it really was and stuff. Like maybe it did well enough to get a sequel. We'll see. But like either way, like it could have been done better. Like already I'm just thinking like, damn, like are they gonna have to reboot this already?
No, I can assure you this is definitely getting a sequel. I feel like this thing did gangbusters. Everything, like it being set up on HBO Max. I think pretty much everything that you're going to see on HBO Max this year is going to get a sequel because it's just going to get the most eyes on it that some films have ever gotten. In a sense, because people are just turning on because they have it for free or their friend has an account. That I think a lot of these films are going to get sequels. And it's really, at the end of the day, they want eyes on it, and they also want people to then know that it's a household name. Oh, everyone knows Mortal Kombat. Everyone watched that at home during the quarantine.
Yeah, well, it sounds like we're kind of on the fence. Like, well, honestly, like I'm not really gonna recommend it for the most part and stuff. Like, I think there's better movies to go check out. Go check out Bloodsport, and I'd say go rent that through our old Amazon affiliate link. But for now, though, for this one, though, you can check it out through our HBO Max account if you have one. Like, be sure to check it out there. It's also playing in select theaters. Come back here and leave a comment letting us know what you thought about the movie also.
And guys, if you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And if you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, we are also on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Be sure to check all those out in our link box down below. Anyways, guys, that's going to conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.